I want more.
You want more? Oh.
Yeah. You ready?
Yep. Oh!
I don't know if we're gonna even get to the RC part because we have too much fun with this.
Yeah!
I bought a 3D printer from someone second hand a while back. It wasn't my trusty Wanhao, it was a different one. It's a RepRap Mendel, I think. Anyway, second hand it came with a little USB stick with a load of 3D files on it. So I plugged them in. I think they're just some random things from Thingiverse, really. But one of them that caught my eye, my favourite one to use, was a little rubber band launcher. Having seen the video from Flite Test, I thought maybe I can combine the two. So I printed it out, and gave it a little test fire, and trust me, I've been annoying my friends with it ever since. It's a fantastic little rubber band launcher, but I think we can do better. We pull up the file of the fuselage that we designed last episode, and use that as a template to designing the actual launcher itself. I designed a little cutaway for the fuselages to fit in. I did design the fuselages with the launcher in mind, but it was designing the launcher around the fuselage itself. So as we can see, we just pull the trigger back. That will drop the little geared catch down, and it'll release the rubber band, which will launch the fuselage out at great speed. And there we go. I ended up flattening it all out so we could print it in one print on my printer. I even included a spare fuselage as well. It fits on mine. If it doesn't fit on yours, I'll put them all up as individual pieces anyway. Now we're on to the main assembly. I'm using our favourite little CA glue. We're just going to glue the trigger to the rack installation there. Just a little dab of glue, and we'll pop that trigger piece on there. There is kind of a way around it goes. There is a slightly longer flat bit at the top of it that you line up with it, but it doesn't really matter in overall. As long as it's in there, you can push it back with your finger. There's no issue. And we'll add a little squirt of CA glue to the grip sides. I printed these little grips in separate pieces because printing the grip sides in the orientation they do provides a really nice patterning, like a little grippy pattern on the side. Plus it allows those little tabs to stick up outside the top of the grip, and I can print the grip in one big tower piece in the orientation I did. Otherwise it tends to get a bit difficult to print them. Now that the glue's dried, we take a little box file, or really any little Swiss file or something, and just going to tidy up any excess glue spillage that's oozed out in and around. And we'll do the same on the grip. You need that trigger to slide really nicely in and out that grip there, just as you can see there. Because any binding up really just makes the whole mechanism stick, and, well, no one likes a sticky mechanism. Again, you will want the trigger to slide in the barrel rail launcher design thing, so it's good to test that too and file off any bits that the nest like stick out. So there we go, we put the bolt through the longer bolt through the retainer and through the backstop bolt. Pop a little washer down there. Now that washer is actually a backstop for the whole rack trigger mechanism. You can see there we go, we slide it in and out, and that will just butt up against there, nice and easy. So you just don't push it too far back. That little back bracket retention thing is kind of just to stop the barrel from twisting left and right. Just keep it nice and square and central, again to stop the whole mechanism binding up. And we're just going to drive that screw all the way through. We'll add a little dab of CA as well, down the back of it, just to keep it all nice and together. Now I've installed a little captive nut hexagon at the bottom of this, again another joy of 3D printing. And the best way I've learnt, because it's a little bit of a friction fit, is just to take a smaller bolt and just press it in there by hand. Again, the sizes should be a small friction fit, but easily done by hand. And then hopefully that long bolt will just grab it nice and easy. You don't want to tighten it down too much, otherwise it makes the whole mechanism stick and you could even crack some of the printed parts. You only need it to be, you know, finger tight if that. And there we go, testing the trigger mechanism to make sure it's still full and free. Adding the little catch pieces now, the little gear catches. You make sure they're on the same tooth count as each other. You want the trigger to be all the way forwards and those catches to be exactly 90 degrees up. They should all be the same because they are essentially the same part, just printed twice. And we add the bolt on there so they can spin freely. Those little tabs on the grip section allow you to do up that bolt a little bit tight and have them still move freely, just like that. Don't do that bolt up too tightly because it will end up squeezing and binding and the mechanism won't work as freely as you'd like. Then we add these little bolts. I'm using an M3 bolt here with M4 washers. Normally I'd want to go for an M3 washer, but I wanted the extra diameter on these. So they fit a little bit loose, but I mean they're only there to retain the rubber bands anyway and have a little bit of a connection. I also added a little recessed M3 nut hole on the top of the launcher, just so those tiny little bolts don't protrude out the top. So any wings or tails or anything that slides past those bolts on the way out shouldn't catch on them and tear your poor little plane to shreds. So now we've added the two rubber bands that hold the trigger so that when you squeeze the trigger it'll come back to its resting position at the front. Plus they also provide a bit of resistance force for the main launcher rubber band. They need to be a little bit tighter than the actual launcher rubber band themselves because the torque generated can pull the trigger back itself when you've cocked the device, but two rubber bands like that should be plenty to keep it all together. And now we'll add the actual launcher rubber band itself. We're just going to attach it using the same screws down the bottom, but we're just going to tighten them up when we've got that in place, and that should hold it all nicely in place there. And we just cut off the excess. And now I made a little test fuselage. So we just string up the rubber band like that, pop the test fuselage in place, and that launcher rubber band should hit the catch on the back. And it works! Beautiful! And yeah, it actually works so well that it smashed the fuselage to pieces on the wall. I was firing it point blank at a wall just for testing purposes. It's kind of a throwaway fuselage anyway, but it's good to know it's got plenty of power. Now we're on to building an aircraft for it. And yes, that chocolate is totally necessary. And delicious. I ended up printing up a Regalo wing structure to it, an airframe. It was quite a simple little design. I thought it would work well for this project because I wanted a glider, something that's quite strong and sturdy design. So I thought a Regalo wing was probably the best. Maybe not quite a penny plane, but as you might see later, you can use the penny plane too. So we're using our favourite CA glue again. Exactly the same skinning technique as the last one, except this time it's the lovely metallic coated chocolate paper, a Willy Wonka style chocolate paper. And we just pop the wing structure down on there. And then later we'll just cut around it with an X-Acto knife. And there we go. We'll just grab a ruler and an X-Acto and we'll just cut around that. Nice straight lines, nice and easy. I mean, the wing structure gives us the template that we want anyway, so no measuring, no nothing, just a straight blade and cut away. Nice and easy. Then all we need to do is just bring those wings in slightly and that gives us our lovely Regalo shape. Kind of like last time where we put the wings between the two clips and it bent it into an aerofoil. We'll just use that little central spar there and that will just bring the wings in ever so slightly and give us the lovely wavy Regalo shape that you can see. So there's just that little standard fuselage. This one doesn't have the little notches in. I include both for download, so if you want the notches or you don't want the notches, either way. And there we go, just glue our little fuselage to the wing structure. You can, of course, there is plenty of space to add a propeller to this as well. One nice thing about the Regalo design is the wings actually are all clear of that rubber band. So you could totally string a rubber band between them, put a little propeller that we made up last video in there, and it should hopefully work. And there we go, we just glue that little central spar in. And we'll wait for that glue to dry, just so that we can easily glue each side of the wing together without it bending apart. Now, you don't have to put that central spar too far back either. The wings only need a fraction of a degree to bend that regalo shape in. The subtler you can do it, the better. The more you bend it, the steeper the glide ratio will be. I mean, if you end up with a result similar to mine, you should be pretty good. I chose this paper and the small regalo design because this is actually quite a fast flyer, and especially being launched from the rubber band powered launcher, it really gives it a kick, so you want it to be quite strong and rigid for this. And as you can see, it flies absolutely miles. I mean, I say miles, it flies the meters that my tiny little one-bedroom apartment can accommodate. And there you go, I hope you have fun making it.